Hi, my name is Yasmin Subtil, and this is my interprofessional assignment. And the discussion we'll be talking about is informal lead acid battery recycling. So to give a little background, ULABs refer to used acid lead batteries. Lead acid batteries are dependable and affordable battery source. Lead acid batteries are often used in automotive vehicles, such as cars or e-bikes, and they're also used to store energy produced by solar panels and wind turbines. An average lead acid battery contains about 10 kilograms of lead, and lead is recyclable, so manufacturers can safely and in a clean way recycle lead. However, the issue comes when low and middle income countries have increased access to automotive vehicles, thus increasing lead acid batteries in circulation. Many countries lack the infrastructure to recycle the number of lead acid batteries floating in the market. This directly influenced the informal recycling of lead acid batteries. In open areas like a backyard, people will deconstruct lead acid batteries and smelt lead in open air furnaces. When the batteries are open, much of this is done on the ground. When lead is smelt, it allows for lead particles to be exposed in the open air, which can be breathed in, settle on food, and also on drinking supply. Ultimately, this causes contamination issue that does not only affect individuals directly involved. Since this usually takes place in open areas, the wind can transfer the lead contaminants further than the smelting site. So next is the risk of lead in children. Even at low levels of exposures, lead can be detrimental to children's health. Lead is often associated with irreversible neurocognitive and behavioral developmental issues. Lead is also associated with ADHD in children, and it's also poisonous to almost every organ in a child's body. But why children though? Even if an adult and a child were to be exposed to the same level of lead, infants and young children absorb 5 to 4 times more of the lead that enters the body than adults. When children go to play, they're also more likely to crawl and put objects in their mouths, and they also have a developing blood-brain barrier. But this does not mean that it cannot affect adults as well. Many of the neurological damage found in children can also be found in adults. And in adults, we also can see an association with renal failure. Among pregnant women, exposure can be associated with reduced fetal growth. And there's also association with a pregnant woman developing eclampsia and preeclampsia. So for this assignment, we discussed these issues with lead exposure with professionals that are not a part of the public health field. The first professional is Gerald Souffrant, and he is a technician engineer. He is a quality control inspector for airplanes. He was familiar with this topic because people in his home country of Haiti did recycle lead in their backyards. In his approach, he discussed the need for us as a society to invest in technological advancements. He realized that the issue is the battery itself and discussed us leaning more towards a different battery source. He isn't necessarily fully informed on lithium batteries, but feels like it may be a solution worth looking at. He also discussed that in the meantime, until we can lean off of lead acid batteries, we should look into providing skills, a different skill that these people in developing countries can use as a source of income. The next approach was Sharina Wellington. She's a marketing executive, and she also has a background in education. In her approach, she looked at using public broadcasting and media to educate people on the effects of lead. If you live in a hotspot area, she wants individuals to know about the harms that lead can produce, and hopefully that would serve as a deterrent to acid lead use. The next professional is Bethany O'Connell, who's a 5th grade teacher. Her approach also suggested education programs. In these programs, people will understand the full extent of the harms of lead. She says it's up to individuals to weigh out the risk and compare it to how it will affect them financially. What she did also note was that we should be providing people with PPE if they choose to continue this lifestyle to reduce the risk of the children living around them and the risk of exposure to themselves. After looking at all of the interviews, all of the professionals seem to discuss education at some levels, whether it be job skills training or just informing them of the harms. All professionals agree that a basis of education is the next steps to helping with the lead exposure issue. Another approach worth examining is looking for an alternative. After research, lithium-ion batteries are a good alternative. However, it is expensive, which is why it's not necessarily used as often as lead-acid batteries. Next step should be looking for an affordable alternative or looking for ways to make the lithium-ion batteries more accessible. And lastly, I just wanted to highlight a few organizations that are doing the work to try to limit lead exposure. We have Pure Earth that have been dedicated to educating communities. They also send trained health professionals to identify, monitor, treat, and reduce childhood lead exposure in several different countries. There's also the United Nations Environmental Program, and they collaborate with government, industry, stakeholders, and other organizations to facilitate a transition to a safer battery technology. Thank you so much for your time.